All right, strap in everyone because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of healthcare IT. And I mean, just imagine, right? Your doctor checking up on you like in real time through your phone or, you kind of like outsmarting the healthcare system to get faster, cheaper care. It almost sounds like something out of, a sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah, it does have a certain futuristic feel to it, doesn't it?
For sure. But back in 2014, this was the reality. And it was really just the tip of the iceberg. But before we get into all that, I do want to give a huge shout out to London Heartbeat's Z Academy. They're the ones making this deep dive possible. So thanks again, you guys. If you're interested in healthcare, make sure to check out their 140 plus healthcare courses. And while you're at it, subscribe to their social media for free updates. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. You definitely don't want to miss out on any future discussions like this one.
Absolutely. They're a fantastic resource.
Okay, so to really understand where healthcare IT is headed, we need to first take a snapshot of where it was back in 2014. And the guide for this journey is going to be healthcare information technology. Really fascinating stuff, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. It paints a really vivid picture of an industry that was kind of on the verge of a major transformation.
It really does, yeah. And get this, in 2012, healthcare was a $2.8 trillion, like behemoth. It was the largest sector of the U.S. economy.
It really puts into perspective just how deeply healthcare is woven into like all aspects of our lives and the economy.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's like the GDP of a small country, right?
It really is.
And with that much money floating around, it's no wonder the technology was starting to, become a major player. I mean, the global healthcare IT market was predicted to hit $53.8 billion by 2014. That's a compound annual growth rate of 16%.
Yeah, you're talking serious momentum there.
Big time.
That kind of growth really indicates like a shift in mindset, It's not just about automating existing processes anymore. It's about like fundamentally changing how healthcare is delivered and experienced by everyone.
Right, yeah, like the whole industry was sort of waking up to the potential of technology to solve some of its biggest problems.
Yeah.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's kind of zoom out for a second and look
Yeah.
at the overall structure of the healthcare industry back then.
Yeah, I think it's essential to understand the playing field before we can analyze the game, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on the provider side, we have like the usual suspects, ambulatory services, hospitals, nursing and residential care facilities, all the folks on the front lines actually delivering care day in and day out.
Right. And then, of course, you can't forget the financial side of things. I mean, insurance, especially health insurance, plays a huge role in how people access and pay for healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the government. It's kind of the big kahuna in all this, especially with federal and local hospitals and government-run psychiatric and long-term care facilities.
Yeah, the government's a major force in healthcare, both in terms of funding and regulation. And with an aging population, its role is only going to become more prominent.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's important to remember that this entire system, as massive as it is, was and is under a lot of pressure, this constant push and pull between cutting costs and improving the quality of care.
Yeah, it's a delicate balancing act, and it's one that healthcare systems around the world were and still are grappling with.
And this is where healthcare IT comes in, right? Like a knight in shining armor, promising to streamline processes, improve communication, and make better use of resources.
Precisely. There was this growing recognition that that investing in IT could actually lead to a higher return on investment, both in terms of cost savings and achieving better health outcomes for patients.
Yeah, it's like people were finally starting to see the value of technology beyond just, automating paperwork.
Exactly. And it was a really crucial shift in perspective.
So to kind of help accelerate this shift, the U.S. government even stepped in with financial support and incentives, basically to encourage more widespread adoption of healthcare IT.
It was a really interesting time, kind of a perfect storm brewing.
It was. You had the need, the technology, and the government backing, all coming together to drive innovation in healthcare IT.
Yeah, it was a really exciting time to be a part of this evolving landscape.
It really was. Speaking of exciting, let's meet some of the big players who were dominating the market back in 2014.
It's a real who's who of the tech world, but with a healthcare twist.
Totally. Leading the pack was McKesson, raking in a cool $3 billion in healthcare IT revenue, mostly from applications and consulting services.
They were a real powerhouse back then, really focused on helping healthcare organizations implement and manage their IT systems effectively.
And then coming up right behind them, you had Dell and CareFusion, each bringing in billions. Dell, of course, well known for their hosting and infrastructure services. And CareFusion was making some serious waves with their medication safety technologies.
They were addressing different needs, but both were really crucial for, building that robust and reliable healthcare IT infrastructure.
Absolutely. And then you've got GE and Cerner also pulling in billions, focusing on applications and consulting services, kind of similar to McKesson.
It really shows you the high demand for expertise in implementing and managing these really complex healthcare IT systems.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we can't forget about CSC and Siemens, both exceeding $1.5 billion in revenue. CSC was big on consulting and integration services, while Siemens focused more on applications and infrastructure.
They were essentially the architects and the builders of the healthcare IT landscape,
Yeah.
helping organizations connect all these disparate systems and ensure everything was running smoothly.
Totally. And rounding up the list, we've got Emiden at $900 million with their revenue cycle and clinical applications, Cognizant at $860 million for their integration and development services, and then Philips at $780 million for their application services.
It's a really diverse group, each bringing their own unique strengths to the table. But what's really interesting is that they're all focused on different pieces of the healthcare IT puzzle.
Yeah, it's a real team effort, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, so we've got all these players, but how are they actually spending all this money? Like, what were the key areas of investment back in 2014?
That's a great question. And surprisingly, IT services actually ate up the biggest chunk of the budget. It accounted for about 33% of spending.
Which makes sense, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not enough to just buy the software. You need the expertise to actually, like, make it work effectively.
Exactly, yeah. Implementation, consulting, product maintenance, all that falls under IT services. They were absolutely essential for ensuring that all these new technologies were properly integrated and functioning correctly within the existing systems.
So it's kind of like building a house. You need more than just bricks and mortar. You need architects and engineers and contractors to make sure everything comes together properly.
Perfect analogy.
Right.
So now right behind IT services was telecommunications, grabbing a hefty 28% of the budget.
Okay, so this covered like all the essentials, right? Networks, internet connections, phone costs.
Yeah,
Basically the backbone of modern healthcare communication.
absolutely. And with the rise of things like telehealth and remote patient monitoring, back then you can see why telecommunications was such a significant expense.
Oh, yeah, totally makes sense. Okay, now internal services, that came in at 22% of spending. What exactly was included in that category?
So this was a broader category. It included things like internal IT staff, training programs, and various other support functions. It was basically the cost of building and maintaining the internal expertise needed to manage all these new technologies.
So basically investing in the people who keep the IT engine running smoothly. Makes sense.
Now, coming in at 10%, we have hardware. So that's your servers, computers, medical devices, imaging equipment, all that good stuff.
I'm actually kind of surprised that hardware spending was relatively low. I mean, especially compared to the other categories. Was this because healthcare IT was already moving towards like cloud-based solutions back then?
That's a sharp observation.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The move towards cloud computing was definitely a factor. It really reduced the need for a lot of that expensive on-premise hardware.
Fascinating.
It is.
And finally, we have software accounting for 7% of spending. This includes things like electronic health record systems, practice management software, and other specialized healthcare applications.
Right. And while software might seem like a smaller slice of the pie, it was really the engine driving a lot of the innovation in healthcare IT. New applications were constantly being developed, aimed at improving everything from patient engagement to clinical decision support.
Yeah, so even though it was a smaller percentage, it was still like this, vital part of the ecosystem,
Yeah.
constantly evolving and pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork here, the industry structure, the financial landscape, the key players. It's clear that in 2014, healthcare IT was already buzzing with activity. But what were some of the specific trends that were impacting healthcare back then? What were the things that were already starting to change the game?
Well, one of the most exciting developments was the rise of mobile networking in healthcare. You got to remember, this was when smartphones were really starting to take off.
Oh, yeah, it was like the Wild West of mobile tech. Everyone was trying to figure out how to, harness its power.
Exactly. And healthcare was no exception. In fact, by 2016, it was predicted that A staggering 3 million patients would be monitored through mobile networks.
Wow, 3 million. That's a lot of people. What kind of like monitoring are we talking about here?
Well, it could include anything from, remotely monitoring chronic conditions like, say, diabetes or heart disease, to tracking vital signs, medication adherence, basically using the power of mobile devices to keep tabs on a patient's health, in real time, no matter where they were.
It's like having a virtual doctor in your pocket.
Exactly. And this was a real game changer, especially for people living in rural areas or with limited access to traditional healthcare setting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mobile networking opened up a whole new worlds of possibilities for um, remote patient care and management. It's amazing to think that this was already happening back in 2014. So, what other trends were starting to emerge at that time?
Well, another trend gaining some serious traction was desktop virtualization. In fact, 70% of hospitals preferred thin or zero clients as their preferred endpoint.
Okay, I'm going to need a quick explainer on that one. What exactly are thin or zero clients, and why were hospitals so keen on them?
Sure. So think of them as, as super lightweight computers. They rely on a central server to run applications and store data. It's kind of like accessing everything you need remotely without, all the bulky hardware.
Oh, okay. So hospitals could like manage and secure their IT systems more easily,
Hmm.
and at the same time reduce their hardware costs.
Exactly. It was a real win-win situation, simplifying IT infrastructure, enhancing security by keeping sensitive data centralized, and cutting down on hardware expenses.
Very smart move. It seems like efficiency was a really big theme in healthcare IT back then.
Absolutely. And speaking of making things easier, mobility at the patient bedside was another significant trend. Back in 2014, a whopping 66% of doctors were already using iPads or tablets for medical purposes.
Wow, that's a huge jump from like just a year earlier. It seems like mobile devices were quickly becoming like must-have tools for healthcare professionals.
They were. Doctors could access patient records, order tests, consult with colleagues, all from the convenience of a tablet. It made healthcare more efficient, and it put information right at their fingertips.
Yeah, it's incredible how quickly mobile technology integrated into the healthcare workflow. Um, what other trends were shaping the landscape in 2014?
Well, data was starting to play a much bigger role, as you might imagine. Back in 2011, only 10% of hospitals had implemented data analytics tools. But by 2016, that number was projected to skyrocket to 50%.
Wow, that's a five-fold increase. Why the sudden surge in interest in data analytics?
Well, hospitals were starting to realize the power of data to improve patient care, optimize their operations, and even predict future health
So
trends.
it's like they were finally waking up to the fact that they were sitting on like this gold mine of information that they weren't using.
Yeah, by analyzing large data sets, they could identify patterns and insights that would have been impossible to spot, manually. It was a whole new way of thinking about healthcare.
So in 2014, we had mobile technology transforming patient monitoring and doctor workflows, and data analytics was starting to emerge as this powerful tool for decision making. It sounds like the foundation was being laid for some major changes in the industry.
Yeah, you could really feel the momentum building. The question on everyone's mind was, what's next?
Mhm.
Where is all this innovation leading?
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of healthcare IT in 2014. We've already seen how mobile technology and data analytics were starting to make waves,
Yeah.
but the real excitement was brewing around the potential for even bigger changes, you know?
Yeah, it was like everyone was looking towards the horizon and wondering like what new possibilities were just over the crest of the wave.
Totally. And our guide for this journey, David Edgerton Jr., he really captured that sense of anticipation.
Yeah.
In his book, he identified three key themes that were like poised to reshape healthcare IT in the years to come.
These weren't just like incremental improvements, We're talking about fundamental shifts in how healthcare was conceived, delivered, and experienced.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay.
What were these game-changing themes?
Well, the first one was health hyperefficiency. And this wasn't just about, doing things better. It was about doing things differently. Think streamlining processes, eliminating waste, and driving down costs through the clever use of technology.
So it was about maximizing impact
Yeah.
while minimizing resources. I can definitely see why that would be appealing, especially in an industry like healthcare, right?
Absolutely. And one of the most intriguing trends within this theme was the development of what Edgerton called empathetic interfaces.
Empathetic interfaces. That sounds both like futuristic and kind of warm and fuzzy at the same time. What exactly does that mean?
Well, it's the idea that digital tools should be more than just functional. They should be responsive to human emotions
Mhm.
and needs. Imagine like a virtual assistant that not only reminds you to take your meds, but also like senses if you're feeling down and maybe offers words of encouragement or connects you with a support group or something.
Wow, that would be a real game changer, especially for people, dealing with chronic conditions or mental health challenges
Yeah.
who often feel like so isolated and overwhelmed.
Exactly. Empathetic interfaces were all about bringing a human touch to the digital healthcare experience, recognizing that people need more than just data and algorithms.
Yeah,
They need
yeah.
compassion and understanding.
It's like the difference between like a cold, sterile medical facility and a warm, welcoming doctor's office.
Yeah, great analogy. But of course, even with the best intentions, there can be unintended consequences. One area that raised concerns with this whole health hyperefficiency thing was the potential for what Edgerton termed unhealthy surveillance.
Unhealthy surveillance, huh? That sounds a little ominous. What exactly did he mean by that?
Well, as healthcare systems become, increasingly reliant on technology, there's a risk of excessive data collection and monitoring, and this could potentially erode, individual privacy.
It's like the classic trade-off between security and freedom, right?
Yeah.
We want all the benefits of technology, but not at the expense of our personal liberties.
Exactly. And this was a really hot topic back in 2014, just as it is today. Some argued that the potential benefits of data analysis, like early disease detection and personalized treatments, outweighed the risks.
I can see that perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can catch diseases early and tailor treatments more effectively, that could save countless lives.
Right. But others were more cautious, emphasizing the need for strong privacy regulations and data security measures, basically to prevent misuse.
Yeah, that's a valid point for sure.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right balance between innovation and protection.
Absolutely. And in another aspect of health hyperefficiency that sparked a lot of debate was the concept of predictive psychohistory.
Predictive psychohistory.
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of like a sci-fi novel.
It does, doesn't it? But it's essentially the idea of using big data to predict individual and population health trends. Imagine like analyzing massive data sets to identify patterns and risk factors that could help predict future health outcomes.
It's both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. Could we really like predict someone's health future based on data? And what are the ethical implications of that?
Those are excellent questions, and they're ones that people were already grappling with back then. Some experts were optimistic about the potential of predictive analytics to prevent diseases and improve health outcomes.
Yeah, like I said, I can see the appeal there. Imagine being able to intervene early and prevent someone from developing a serious illness.
Right, but others were more skeptical, pointing out the limitations of data and the potential for bias. After all, algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on, right?
And if the data is biased, then it could lead to inaccurate predictions and even discriminatory outcomes.
Precisely. So predictive psychohistory raised all sorts of complex ethical and social questions, ones that needed to be really carefully considered.
So it sounds like this whole health hyper-efficiency thing was a theme full of both like promise and potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that technology is a tool,
Yeah.
and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
Well said. Now, shall we move on to the second major theme that Edgerton identified? This one was all about empowering individuals, putting them in the driver's seat of their own health journey.
Oh, I love that idea. What did he call it?
The personalized health movement.
I can already see why that would resonate with people.
Yeah.
You know, it's about taking ownership of your health and not just being a passive recipient of care.
Exactly. And one of the trends within this movement that was gaining momentum was what he called the overquantified self.
Okay, I'm intrigued. The overquantified self.
Yeah.
Does this involve like wearing a Fitbit 247 and obsessing over every calorie consumed and every step taken?
Not far off. It was the idea that, with the rise of wearable devices and health tracking apps, people were suddenly inundated with data about their bodies and their behaviors.
Like the quantified self on steroids or something.
Yeah.
But was all this data actually helpful, or was it just creating more anxiety for people?
That was a big debate.
Yeah.
While having access to all this data could be empowering, it could also be, overwhelming and difficult to interpret.
It's like having a million pieces of a puzzle, but not knowing how to put them together to create a meaningful picture.
Exactly. And this actually led to another challenge within the personalized health movement, what Edgerton called multicultural misalignment.
Multicultural misalignment. I'm not sure I follow. What does that mean in the context of personalized health?
Well, it highlights the fact that health technologies need to be designed with diversity in mind. What works for one population group might not be effective or even appropriate for another.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, we're not all the same, and our healthcare needs are different. Were people starting to like address this challenge back in 2014?
There was definitely a growing awareness of the need for more inclusive and culturally sensitive health technologies.
So it's like realizing that one size doesn't fit all when it comes to health.
Oh.
We need personalized solutions that are truly personalized.
Absolutely. And another challenge that was starting to emerge within the personalized health movement was finding ways to keep people engaged and motivated, over the long term.
Yeah, it's the classic problem, isn't it? People might get excited about a new health app or a new gadget initially, but then their enthusiasm just kind of fizzles out after a few weeks.
Exactly. So researchers and developers were starting to explore, different strategies to boost motivation and engagement. One approach that was gaining traction was what they called micro health rewards.
Micro health rewards. Okay, tell me more about that.
Sure. So it's the idea of using like game mechanics and rewards to incentivize healthy behaviors. Imagine like earning points or badges for reaching certain goals, like hitting your daily step count or maintaining a healthy weight or something.
So it's like turning healthy living into a game. That could be a fun and motivating way to encourage people to stick with their goals.
Exactly. And the idea was that these small rewards could add up over time, leading to significant changes in behavior.
Okay, so the personalized health movement was all about putting individuals in control.
Yeah.
But it also recognized the importance of finding creative ways to keep people engaged and motivated.
Absolutely. It was about striking that balance between, individual empowerment and behavioral science.
This brings us to the third and final theme that Edgerton identified: digital peer-to-peer healthcare. What exactly did that entail?
Well, it's all about, leveraging technology to connect patients and caregivers with each other, creating online communities where they could share information, support, advice, that sort of thing.
It's like building a virtual support network for
Mhm.
people navigating the often complex world of healthcare.
Exactly. And one of the most promising developments within this theme was the rise of virtual counseling.
Virtual counseling. So people were seeking and providing healthcare advice and support online.
Exactly. It was particularly helpful for those dealing with, chronic or rare conditions
Yeah.
who often felt isolated and struggled to find reliable information and support.
That's amazing to think that this was already happening back in 2014. It seems like the seeds were being sown for the telehealth revolution that we're experiencing today.
You're absolutely right. And another trend within digital peer-to-peer healthcare that was starting to take shape was what they called care hacking.
Care hacking. Yeah, that sounds kind of rebellious. What exactly were people hacking?
Think of it as, as digitally savvy patients kind of taking matters into their own hands. They were combing through information from doctors, websites, even their own electronic medical records, basically to become more informed healthcare consumers.
So it was about empowering patients to be more proactive and,
Yeah.
and engaged in their own care.
Exactly. Care hackers were challenging the traditional doctor-patient dynamic,
Hmm.
demanding more transparency and control over their health information.
I love that. It's like patients were saying, hey, we're not just passive recipients of care anymore. We want to be active participants in our own health journey.
It was a really powerful shift in mindset and one that was made possible by the increasing availability of health information online.
So in 2014, we had these three big themes emerging.
Yeah.
Health hyperefficiency, the personalized health movement, and digital peer-to-peer healthcare. Each one was kind of pointing towards a future where technology played a more central role in healthcare, empowering both patients and providers.
Yeah, it was a time of great excitement and anticipation. The healthcare IT landscape was evolving so rapidly, and the possibilities seemed endless.
It sounds like we were on the cusp of a major transformation, but how did these trends actually play out in the years that followed? Did those predictions from 2014, did they hold true?
That's a great question. That's exactly what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll examine the successes, the challenges, and the unexpected turns that have shaped the world of healthcare IT as we know it today.
But before we do, let's take a moment to thank the folks who made this exploration possible. London Heartbeats Academy.
They're an amazing resource for anyone interested in learning more about healthcare and the latest trends shaping the industry.
Absolutely. They offer over 140 healthcare courses, and they have a really vibrant social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to check them out.
You won't regret it. They're a wealth of information
Yeah.
and a true champion of innovation in healthcare education.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll uncover how the predictions from 2014 have shaped the landscape of healthcare IT over the past decade.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our healthcare IT deep dive. We've traveled back to 2014, explored the industry, the whole landscape, uncovered all those trends that were like poised to revolutionize healthcare.
It has been quite a journey, yeah. Seeing like the seeds of change being planted, those early glimpses into, what the future might hold.
Totally. But now it's time to shift our focus from the past to the present, right? How have those predictions from 2014 actually played out? Have those trends continued to evolve as anticipated, or have there been like any surprises along the way?
That's the big question, right? I mean, predictions are one thing, but reality often has a way of, throwing a curveball.
Absolutely. So let's start with health hyperefficiency. Remember, that was all about leveraging technology to create a leaner, more efficient healthcare system.
Streamlining processes, eliminating waste, and ultimately driving down costs.
Exactly. One of the key trends within this theme was the development of empathetic interfaces, those human-centered digital tools that are designed to respond to our emotional needs. So a decade later, have we actually managed to create healthcare technologies that are like both intelligent and compassionate?
It's been a journey of progress, but also one that highlights just how complex human emotions really are. I mean, we've seen advancements in, virtual assistants and chatbots that offer some basic emotional support and guidance.
So it's kind of like having like a friendly voice checking in on you, reminding you to take your meds and offering words of encouragement when you need them most.
Exactly, but creating truly empathetic interfaces that can really, understand and respond to all the nuances of human emotion. Well, that's still a work in progress. I mean, AI has come a long way, but it still struggles to replicate human empathy and intuition.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, emotions are complex, even for us humans, to fully understand sometimes.
Absolutely. However, even with those limitations, we have seen some positive strides in making healthcare technology more user-friendly and accessible.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Like healthcare apps and websites they're much easier to navigate these days. It's a far cry from the clunky interfaces of the past.
Oh yeah, for sure. The focus on user experience has definitely improved, and that's crucial for ensuring that everyone can benefit from these technologies, regardless of their tech savviness.
Right. Right. And we've also seen progress in data integration, haven't we? It's
Yeah.
much easier now for patients and providers to access and share information seamlessly.
Absolutely. Integrated data has really streamlined communication and the coordination of care. It's eliminated the need for all those, clunky fax machines and endless phone calls.
It's about time, right?
It is.
But alongside those positive developments, we've also seen some of the concerns around health hyperefficiency come to fruition, haven't we? Like that ominous-sounding unhealthy surveillance.
You're right. We can't ignore the potential downsides. There have been instances of data breaches and misuse, and these raise, some serious questions about privacy and security in this increasingly interconnected healthcare system.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that as we embrace the convenience of technology, we also need to remain vigilant about protecting our personal data.
Absolutely, and the rise of predictive analytics has also fueled some concerns about potential discrimination and bias. I mean, algorithms, while powerful, they're only as good as the data they're trained on.
So if the data reflects existing societal biases, then those biases can be amplified by the algorithms,
Yeah.
and that could lead to unfair and even harmful outcomes, right?
Precisely. It's a crucial consideration as we increasingly rely on algorithms for healthcare decisions.
Okay, so health hyperefficiency has brought both progress and challenges then. It's really pushing us to find that delicate balance between innovation and responsible implementation.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, now how about the personalized health movement? Has the idea of empowering individuals to take control of their health journey, has that really taken hold?
Well, the trend towards the overquantified self has definitely continued. I mean, people are more obsessed than ever with tracking every aspect of their health, from their sleep patterns to their dietary choices, everything.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's wearing a smartwatch or using a fitness tracker these days. Have we become like a society of data-driven health enthusiasts?
In many ways, yes. But the question remains, has all this data actually translated into meaningful improvements in health outcomes?
That's the key, isn't it? It's not just about collecting data. It's about using it effectively to make positive changes.
Right. While some studies do show that personalized health technologies can help people, manage chronic conditions and encourage healthier choices, the overall impact on population health is still a bit of a mixed bag.
So we're still kind of figuring out how to effectively translate all that data into actionable insights and long-term behavior change. It's not as simple as just, strapping on a fitness tracker and hoping for the best.
No, it's definitely more complicated than that. And the challenge of multicultural misalignment, designing technologies that cater to diverse populations, well, that persists. One-size-fits-all approaches simply don't work in healthcare.
Right. It's a good reminder that personalized health is not just about technology. It's about understanding and addressing the unique needs of individuals and communities. So 10 years on, the personalized health movement is still evolving
Hmm.
with ongoing efforts to translate that abundance of data into tangible health improvements.
Exactly.
Okay, now what about digital peer-to-peer healthcare? Has the idea of connecting patients and caregivers online lived up to its potential?
Well, this was one of the trends I was most excited about back in 2014.
Yeah, me too. Creating, online spaces where people could share information, support each other, and navigate the complexities of healthcare, together.
Well, I'm happy to report that it's absolutely flourished. Online communities dedicated to healthcare and wellness have become incredibly popular.
Yeah, it's like the internet has become this giant virtual support group
Got it.
for everything from managing chronic conditions to
Yeah.
navigating specific treatments.
Exactly. These online communities have become invaluable resources,
Yeah.
breaking down geographical barriers and connecting people who share similar experiences.
It's incredible to think that people can now access, support and information from anywhere in the world 24/7.
It really is. It's a testament to the power of human connection.
Yeah.
And the democratization of healthcare knowledge. And remember, virtual counseling, seeking and providing healthcare advice online, well, that's taken off as well, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Telehealth has become like totally mainstream, especially after the pandemic forced us to embrace remote healthcare options. It's made healthcare more accessible and convenient for countless people.
Yeah, people are much more comfortable now seeking medical and mental health care remotely. It's a real game changer for those in rural areas or with mobility issues.
We've even seen the rise of specialized virtual counseling platforms that
Mm.
connect people with therapists, coaches, and other support providers,
Yeah.
based on their specific needs. It's like having a personalized healthcare team that's accessible at your fingertips.
Right. Technology is breaking down barriers to access and making healthcare more personalized and patient-centered, just like we envisioned back in 2014.
Now, what about care hacking? Those digitally savvy patients who kind of took matters into their own hands, are they still out there disrupting the system?
Oh, they're definitely still around, and they're more sophisticated than ever. We're seeing patients utilize, advanced data analysis tools and online resources to understand their health data,
Yeah.
research treatment options, and engage in more informed decision making with their healthcare providers.
That's inspiring to see. How individuals are leveraging technology to become active participants in their healthcare journeys.
It is. It's a testament to the power of information. Yeah. And the evolving relationship between patients and healthcare providers. So as we wrap up our deep dive here, it's clear that the healthcare IT landscape has undergone a pretty dramatic transformation in the past decade. Those trends we discussed back in 2014, like health hyperefficiency, the personalized health movement, and digital peer-to-peer healthcare, they've all left their mark.
We've seen some significant progress, but we've also encountered some challenges along the way. It reminds us that technology is a powerful tool and it needs to be wielded responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to remain vigilant, about privacy and security, address potential biases in algorithms, and just ensure that technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And before we sign off here, let's give another shout out to London Heartbeat Z Academy, for their incredible support in making this deep dive possible. If you're intrigued by the world of healthcare IT and want to learn more, be sure to check out their 140 plus healthcare courses.
Yeah.
And follow them on social media. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube.
They're a fantastic resource, providing top-notch education and fostering innovation in the healthcare field.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions. The future of healthcare is in our hands, and it's up to all of us to shape it for the better.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.